Hello, everyone. My name is Bruce, and on behalf of the Auckland Theravada Buddhist Association, Vimutti Monastery, and Ajahn Chandako, I warmly welcome you to our Kathina Robe offering ceremony. Normally, the ceremony is held at the monastery, but for obvious reasons, we're now having it online. We've got a very good program ahead for you today, and we're very happy that you're able to join us. Thank you very much. I will now hand over to Lynn in Singapore.
Welcome, everyone. We are all very happy and excited to see this happening in this time of COVID lockdown. I would like to thank Venerable Ajahn Chandako for giving me this honor to say a few words at this auspicious event. Even though I live in Singapore, Vimutti is like my second home. I visited, experienced, and lived as a caretaker at Vimutti Monastery with my wife for a few months. We discovered these tranquil heavens of peace and serenity away from the bustle of the city. Venerable Ajahn Chandako had led the team of the local community to develop this remote grazing land into a serene location with a magnificent stupa surrounded by native forests, streams, ponds, and rolling hills. More than 10,000 trees have been planted throughout the years on 150 acres of land to create this magical site, a spacious place that provides the right condition for cultivation of Dhamma. Thank you.
สวัสดีค่ะเก๋ค่ะขอต้อนรับทุกท่านเข้าสู่พิธีทำบุญออกพรรษาและถวายผ้าไตรจีวรของวัดป่าวิมุตติเมืองโอ๊คแลนด์ประเทศนิวซีแลนด์นะคะปกติเราจะจัดงานนี้กันที่วัดป่าวิมุตติค่ะแต่ปีนี้เป็นปีพิเศษที่เราได้ร่วมพิธีผ่านทางซูมมีตติ้งกันนะคะร่วมกันกับหลายๆประเทศด้วยอาทิเช่นสิงคโปร์มาเลเซียออสเตรเลียอเมริกาประเทศไทยและแน่นอนค่ะประเทศนิวซีแลนด์ค่ะรายละเอียดคร่าวๆของงานในวันนี้นะคะเราจะร่วมกันอาราธนาศีล 5รับฟังธรรมะจากท่านพระอาจารย์รับฟังสวดพระปริตรชมวิดีโอจากทางวัดและช่วงสุดท้ายที่พลาดไม่ได้เลยก็คือเราจะมีการแจ้งยอดทำบุญค่ะเดี๋ยวเรามาพร้อมกันกราบพระนะคะ Everyone please pay your respect to Sangha กราบ
Greetings, everyone, from Vimutti Monastery. This is our first ever online Kathina season robe offering ceremony. Auckland, New Zealand has been in lockdown for most of the past 4 months, so we've had to make adjustments. Normally, this time of year, we would be having meditation workshops, daily teachings, and of course, this large annual event of the robe offering ceremony. But make adjustments, and for most of the pandemic, New Zealand has escaped and done very well and been COVID-free. But in August, and the Delta started to circulate around the Auckland area, and so we've been in lockdown for most of the past few months. It has corresponded with our annual rains retreat, so it hasn't really been affected the monastery too much. With meditation monks, we appreciate quiet and solitude anyways. So having the lockdown is simply added to that and been supportive of our rains retreat. So today, instead of having hundreds of people come to the monastery, then we will be reaching you in your homes, and we'll still be offering Dhamma talks, Paritta chanting, guided meditation, and some videos that were made by people who regularly come to the monastery. And to start off today, we can begin with requesting and taking the 5 precepts. So, Rakkha, if you would like to do the honors, please.
Namaskar, Prajaan. Thank you so much. Yeah, I would like to request the 5 precepts. Mayang Pante Ti Saranena Saha Panchasila Niyajama Tutiyampi Mayang Pante Ti Saranena Saha Panchasila Niyajama Tatiyampi Mayang Pante Ti Saranena Saha Panchasila Niyajama.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tisaranagammanang nititang.
Ama Pante.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Ajinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kamesu michachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kame sumichachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Sura meraya majapamadatana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Sura meraya machappamatatana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Imani pancha sikkhapadani silena sugating yanti silena bhoga sampada silena nibbutting yanti tasma silang isortaye.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So at this time, I'd like to do a brief guided meditation. So for everyone who would like to participate, make yourself comfortable, whatever seat you're sitting in, if you're in a chair, floor, sit in an upright position. Even if you're in a chair, just sit with your head, neck, shoulders aligned, not slouching. Bring your awareness to your body. start by taking a few deep breaths. So breathe in, feel the air flowing into your body, pausing, flowing out. Meditation can be done in any posture, but particularly useful every day. Sit quietly, place with few distractions. Bring your attention into the present moment. Be aware of your sitting posture, where you can feel your body. You can be aware of your environment, sounds, or the absence of sound. At the beginning of a meditation, it is helpful to make a clear intention. What is it that you plan to do? What type of meditation do you wish to develop? So that we're not simply blindly going through the motions. Meditation is the clear continuity of awareness, moment after moment. So right now in your experience, what can you be aware of? Aware of sensations in your body? Aware of thoughts? Awareness of emotion? And awareness of this gentle rhythm of the air flowing into our body, pausing, flowing out. Even if you have thoughts arising, that's normal. Try to be aware of a thought merely as a thought. whatever the content, whatever the story within the thought. It's merely a movement of mental energy. Awareness of thinking, but then always coming back to our breath. Physical sensations that ground us in the present. It's as if you're sitting on a park bench. Thoughts are like people passing by. Some coming, some going. But if we don't jump up and grab them, they go by themselves. During this time, all of your worries and concerns, all of your burdens, you can temporarily set them down. During this time, there's nothing we have to figure out. There's no problems we have to solve. There's no person or responsibilities that we have to be. And remember to pay attention to the silence. In our minds, it's not only thinking that occurs, it's not continuous thinking, memories, thoughts, plans. There are moments of quietude and silence. If we pay attention to those, then we see how peaceful it is. And those moments of quietude inside, inner silence begin to grow. As we come out of the end of the meditation, again, just bring your attention to your breath, noticing all the details of the air flowing in, to your body, pausing, flowing out.
Thank you, Ajahn, for the guided meditation. So we will now be requesting a Dhamma talk from Ajahn. So let us be in Anjali position and we'll bow 3 times. Bow. Brahma Chaloka Dipati Sahampati Kathanjali An Divaram Ayachata Santi Dasatha Paraja Kajatika Dese Tudamang Anukam Himang Pajam.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. The teachings of the Buddha are timeless, applicable to all people, all cultures, of all times, all situations. Obstacles in particular times, in particular society, which come to the fore.
สวัสดีค่ะ สวัสดีค่ะ ขณะนี้เดี๋ยวท่านอาจารย์จะกลับมาแนะนำเกี่ยวกับวิธี meditation แล้วก็จะให้ธรรมะกับพวกเราต่อไปนะคะ ตอนนี้ท่านอาจารย์ก็จะต้อง set up internet connection ก่อนนะคะ Ajahn Chandako will come back shortly because of the internet connection. Today in New Zealand we have really strong wind. Yeah. Ajahn Chandako will come back when the connection of the Vimutti more stable.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Back.
ค่ะ
I am back. So our internet is giving us a Dhamma teaching that everything is unreliable. So if I disappear, then, well, that's the way it is. But as I was saying, so one of the causes of people getting outraged is fear. And if people are afraid of something, then they will tend to lash out and attack others. And that's a natural response. If they think they are under attack, then often they feel they have to attack others in order to defend themselves. But this in turn causes fear in other people. And so we have to figure out ways to break this cycle of fear, aggression that results in outrage. Now, one of the things we can intentionally do is to live a lifestyle, live in a way which engenders trust, to be a person who is trustworthy. For example, If you know a person, if you know that they are devoted to truth and they do not lie, then you can generally trust them. Also, if you know if your intention is generally to always be helpful to others and do what is beneficial for others, then if it gives you happiness to help others and make them happy, then that also helps other people to trust you. Trust then is the basis for friendship, for normal, healthy human relationships, and basically what holds our communities together. Because we don't just meditate for ourselves, we don't just practice the Dhamma for ourselves, we practice for everybody. And when one person practices the Dhamma, it helps their family, it helps all of their colleagues, co-workers. Basically, it helps everyone we come in contact with. And this is one thing that we can do to increase harmony in society. So the Buddha's teachings in a nutshell are Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. So I'll say a bit about these and define what I'm talking about. So Sila refers to our moral standard. Basically how we live our lives, governing what we do with our bodies, our physical behavior, and our speech. Good Sila is basically not intentionally doing anything to harm others or to harm oneself. So Sila in and of itself will already be a good check for outrage or any impulses towards outrage. At least we can try, make the effort not to intentionally say anything which is hurtful or untrue. And if outrage does arise, then we neither express it nor repress it, but we learn how to deal with it with the tools of meditation. So the Buddha's approach to living a wholesome life is based on wisdom and understanding how karma works. Precepts are not meant to be moral commandments. So the meaning of Sila or living a good life in the Buddhist terms is a mental training. However, in some places these days, there seems to be a resurgence of Puritanism. We're quickly judging others for not being pure enough, accusing them publicly or punishing them harshly. So this is a big feature of social media these days. Probably not the best of social media, and it's really not that different than the ancient Puritans, wanting to judge other people for not being good enough and looking for places to criticize. But this is very destructive for society. It's not helpful for us. It doesn't lead to peace of mind, and it leads to fear and anxiety in other people, and ultimately creates more outrage. So the Buddha's approach to Sila is not one of a judgmental Puritanism, but one of learning based on wisdom. We see firsthand in our own experience what types of behavior lead to happiness, what types of behavior lead to suffering, what type of things that we say is conducive to happiness and benefit, and what type of speech leads to disharmony and essentially unhappiness in ourselves and others. And through that, right, through watching and learning, through both our successes and our failures, then we gradually learn and develop wisdom in that way. So this is the Buddha's approach to wisdom. Buddha's approach to living a good life is wisdom-based. So now I'd like to talk a bit about opinions and attachment to opinions. So everybody has opinions, and that's not in itself a problem. And of course, if we have opinions, we generally think we're right. Otherwise, we would have different opinions. And ultimately, in the end, any identification with opinion as being my opinion will be an obstacle to our Dhamma practice at some stage. But in the beginning, a little bit of identification with opinions is not really a problem. However, when strong attachment sets in to our opinions, when there's strong attachment, then That's what leads to conflict, criticism, hating others, obsessive thinking, and ultimately like long arguments and very long emails trying to convince others how wrong they are. So obviously this is not conducive to being happy either in ourselves or creating a harmonious society. So these are areas that we really need to work on a bit. Much of our meditation techniques for developing wisdom are based on adjusting our perceptions so that our perceptions become more in line with the state of reality, right? And so we can start even on the level of sila in daily basic human interaction, right? And start to look at all the perceptions that we have of others, the perceptions that we have of other people in our daily life. And the first lesson is this: just because we perceive something in a particular way doesn't mean that it's true, right? It's true only in the sense that if we perceive something, it's real as a perception, right? But beyond that, it's going to be affected by our delusion. So unless you're a fully enlightened arhat, and if you are, sadhu anumodana, but unless you're a fully enlightened arhat, perceptions are going to be affected by delusion, either a little or a lot. We can't help that. Delusion, by its very nature, prevents us from seeing even our own delusion, right? We can't see anything, perfectly clearly. It's like a giant blind spot. And other people will see every situation, every experience differently than we do. They'll have different perceptions, and those perceptions then lead to different opinions. And as soon as, the sooner we recognize that, the easier it is to have a conversation. Even if we think they are wrong and we are right, respecting other people's perceptions without judging their perceptions as wrong, that's the most basic level of respect that we can offer to another person. This comes up all the time in politics, marriages, from what I hear. COVID vaccines, that's the latest big one. You name it. It's always a matter of people having different perceptions and then thinking, if I perceive it that way, then it must be true. But in reality, everyone's perceptions are valid enough. Their opinions based on causes and conditions that they have available to them. You can understand how other people would have different opinions than we do. So just because other people do see things differently than we do, doesn't mean that we are wrong, right? That's often where people get outraged. So just relax. There's no reason to be defensive, right? Every person is looking at life from a different angle. Every person sees life from a slightly different perspective, right? And maybe there's something we can learn if we don't let our attachments get in the way. Now, trying to force our perceptions onto somebody else, it's actually quite arrogant and aggressive. And we see that a lot in society these days, right? For example, we may perceive ourselves in a particular way, but that doesn't mean that we can demand, or that it's reasonable to demand that other people perceive us in the same way, right? However, someone else perceives us or perceives you, it's really their business. So what we can do is to try to be accepting of other people's perceptions, however they perceive things, whether we understand it or not. We just try to accept that and learn how to be at peace with that, even if we think they're wrong. But then this is how we can practice on the level of sila. But how do we actually get beyond these deluded perceptions so we can see things in line with reality? This is where meditation comes in. So meditation is not simply sitting or walking in a particular posture or doing a particular technique. Meditation is the continuity of clear awareness in the present that can be developed in all postures and all activities throughout the day. So that's easy to say, but it's actually fairly difficult to do. So we start just by closing our eyes, quiet place, bringing our awareness into the present, sitting with a minimum of distractions. Gradually, then we begin to see how our minds work, what's happening in our own minds, how noisy our minds can be, and sometimes how crazy our mind is. So thinking in and of itself is not our enemy. Sometimes we think too much. And it doesn't work to try to force thoughts out of our minds. And that's not the point. But as we closely watch our minds, gradually we begin to see that excessive thinking or thinking in certain ways leads to unnecessary suffering for ourselves. When we see this, see it clearly, see it often enough, then we become more efficient in our thinking, and we learn to think in ways that actually lead to our own happiness. So samadhi refers to a peaceful mind, either during meditation or in daily life. A little samadhi is a little peaceful. Deep samadhi is deeply peaceful. So when developed correctly, samadhi is both calm, clearly aware, bright, radiant, tranquil, and also energized. Thinking becomes intermittent until eventually thinking can completely disappear. You're just sitting with a bright, clear, radiant, calm mind, clearly aware, but absolutely silent internally. So if anyone tells you that it's impossible to stop your thinking, it just means that they haven't experienced deep samadhi yet. So it is possible. Yeah, it's not beyond the ability of any of us. So samadhi solves the issues of outrage and attachment to opinions beyond mere restraint. After a peaceful meditation, it feels like there's nothing to get outraged about, right? You feel at ease and you feel empathetic with people who have different opinions. But the thing is with samadhi is that it wears off. That's why we need to develop wisdom, a profound understanding of reality that doesn't wear off. It's what we call panya, wisdom. But generally, our insights and wisdom will go as deep as our samadhi. And so there's no shortcuts. Yeah? And when developing wisdom, then we're back working with our perceptions. But now our minds are powered by this clear, bright, tranquil power of samadhi. Samadhi already helps us to see things more clearly with sustained awareness, but now it can be focused in different areas to take a deep look and challenge some of our deeply held, drained, deluded perceptions. For example, people generally have a bias towards noticing continuity, when in fact every moment is different than the last moment. So we can intentionally bring our awareness, contemplate how everything is in a constant state of change. This is the meditation on the perception of impermanence. Or another example, generally, we tend to assume that we're going to continue to live on into the future, even when the reality is that we could die at any time. So we intentionally bring our awareness and consider the examples around us of living things, dying, passing away all the time, often unexpectedly. The more we accept this reality, the more at peace we are with our own death, and the more we appreciate being alive. So this is the meditation on the perception of dying. Now, there are many other types of meditations which develop wisdom, but these are two very useful ones. And when we develop wisdom, then we quickly realize that there's nothing to be outraged about, right? Life is just like a flowing river of causes, conditions, and results. And it's all in its own way, just perfect. And so this begins to solve the issue of outrage once and for all. Once we develop wisdom, we can see that even our own opinions and perceptions are part of this river. They're not actually ours. Opinions exist. Even enlightened people have opinions, but they arise from causes and they're not seen as me or mine. And attaching to them is unpleasant. So then the problems of outrage and attachment to opinions are solved for good. So I offer this for your reflection today.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Thai Ajahn, for the inspiring Dhamma talk and sharing with us the importance of developing samadhi and wisdom and be constant, aware of our surroundings. Thank you, Thai Ajahn.
Okay, the next thing we have happening will be to watch a short video of Vimutti. Do you want to say a bit about that, Bruce?
Okay, yes, we're coming up, and thank you, by the way, Ajahn, for that inspiring talk. Coming up, we'll have a short video, some more Dharma talks, and Paritta chanting. So I can hand that over to Kungay right now.
สาธุค่ะ ขอกราบขอบพระคุณพระอาจารย์ฉันทโกมากๆนะคะ ที่แนะนำวิธีและก็แนวทางปฏิบัติที่ดีมากให้กับพวกเรา หลังจากนี้เราก็จะได้รับชมวิดีโอจากทางวัดป่าวิมุตติ แล้วก็ต่อด้วยการบรรยายธรรมะจากท่านสัมโพธิค่ะ ขอกราบนมัสการท่านพระอาจารย์ฉันทโกค่ะ Please นมัสการอาจารย์Chandako to introduce tour of Vimutti นมัสการค่ะสาธุ
Okay, we're about to watch a video that gives you a bit of a tour around Vimutti Monastery. So I'll say a few words about the land and the monastery here. Some people watching may never have visited Vimutti, and even the people who come to visit it now may find it difficult to imagine what it looked like in the beginning. But when I arrived at the monastery in 2004, there was hardly a tree on the property. The land was full of hundreds of thorn bushes, big thorn bushes and weeds and thistles and blackberry vines everywhere. I mean, it was just kind of a mess, all sorts of weeds and erosion from overgrazing. And other than the driveway coming in, there was no paths except for one dirt track that was turned to mud by all the cattle that were here. So it was, it was a bit of a challenge in the beginning. Before I came, other monks who had been here had told me, well, it's property. It's not really a property that's suitable for a forest monastery because there's no forest. It was just missing one thing. It's just missing the forest. But when I came for the first time and I had to look around, I thought, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It has potential. But it took a bit of work. I knew it would take a bit of work. So then for many, many years, we worked really hard for about 10, 15 years, building roads, paths, put in 10 large ponds and planted over 10,000 trees. Worked hard to eradicate all of these invasive weeds and have in the process doubled the size of the monastery by buying surrounding land so that we have a bit of a buffer zone for our to ensure the tranquility of the monastery going into the future. And of course, we've gradually built all the facilities that we need to practice the Dhamma and for people living here in order to develop their meditation. So the photos in this video will give you a bit of an idea of what it looks like now. And also it gives you an idea of what can be accomplished if you have a vision and you stick with it with persistent effort. Okay, please enjoy the video.
Sage kame jarupeng irisikara tate chandale ke vipane Di perate jagame taro naganege avatumikete. Boma jayandun devanjala dalavisame yakaganda managa. Titanda santikeya muniwa hotanang sanawame sunandu. Buddhan dasanakalo ayam badanta. Dhamma savanakalo ayam badanta. Sangham bahirupasanakalo ayam badanta. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi. Dhammāṃ saranam gacchāmi. Sanඝaṃ saranam gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Dhammāṃ saranam gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Sanඝaṃ saranam gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saranam gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Sanඝaṃ saranam gacchāmi. Yocakumā mohammalapakato samhaṃ vakuto sugato vimutto marasapasa vinimocayanto pape sikemaṃ janataṃ vinayam buddhaṃ varantaṃ sirasa namami lokasanataṃ javinayakaṃ jataṃ te jasate jayasiri hotu samantaraya javinasamendu dhammo rajoyo viyatha sasatu dase siloka savisudimagam niyaniko dhammadara sandari sata vaho santikaro sucino.
Okay, so in addition to that video, sort of tour of the monastery, the last couple of weeks we've made some short videos with people who regularly come here to Vimutti, and so throughout the ceremony today we'll play some of these videos where people are speaking about their personal experience here at Vimutti. So we can do the first set now.
My name is Sunil. I've been coming here since 2004, and I have seen the development happen here last 17 years. So every time I come here, the happiness I get, I can't get from anything else. And the other hand, we are doing for the Buddha Sasana, and it's a great feeling once you come and do something helping the monastery. So that's my intention, to keep doing that.
Sadika. Hello everyone. My name is Rakkha. Here I'm at Vimutti Buddhist Monastery. I have been coming to Vimutti for the past 15 years, I guess. Vimutti is a great place. First time when I came here, I saw the Dhammacakkappavattana flag, and I noticed that is a Buddhist monastery. First time when I got here, I didn't meet Ajahn, but the second time when I came here, I met him. Wow, he looks so bright and radiant. There is more reason I like to keep coming here, and I know this place that I can help out because I'm Buddhist and I always go to temple when I was in Thailand. And I'm so grateful and thankful that I have met lots of Kruba Ajahn here, like Luang Po Sumeto, Luang Po Piak, Ajahn Kalayano, Ajahn Tiradhammo, Ajahn Viradhammo, Ajahn Metino, and so many great monks here who has been invited to be here. I'm really grateful for that. And as a lay guest, I always take the opportunity to come and practice here. I stayed in the Guti, and recently I had the opportunity to stay in the forest at the back of the property in the Glot, which is an amazing experience and I will never forget. So you know, sometimes you hear from Kruba Ajahn said about the Tudong stories, and they often say they feel safe in the Glot. That's how I experienced that. So Vimutti is a great place. We have a good teacher here. Ajahn Chandako is an amazing teacher, and I'm really grateful and thankful that he is the abbot of Vimutti Buddhist Monastery here in New Zealand. And the lay support here, they are amazing. We become friends. Not only they are here in New Zealand, but people who come from overseas. Yeah, we are friends now for many years, and I miss you all, and hope to see you coming back when things is better. Yeah, look forward to meeting you all again. Thank you.
สวัสดีค่ะ My name is Aruni. I'm from Thailand. I'm known Vimutti for 4 years. Vimutti is the nice place, beautiful place, quiet and peaceful. I'm always to come here for do my meditating, following Buddhist way. The people around here, they are lovely people and kind people. The most of amazing person is Ajahn Chandako. He have a lot of metta for everyone, and he always to welcome everyone by his smiling. Every time I came here, feel like I'm back home.
สวัสดีค่ะ ชื่อโสภา หันเกตก้านะคะเหตุผลที่มาที่วัดวิมุตติเพราะว่าชอบธรรมชาตินะคะถ้าคุณเข้ามาครั้งแรกคุณก็จะรู้สึกประทับใจเลยนะคะเวลาวิ่งรถลงมาจากเขาแล้วก็เข้ามาในวัดจะเห็นสตูป้าค่ะเจดีย์ซึ่งมีพระธาตุอยู่ในนั้นนะคะเหมือนกับว่าเราเข้ามาอยู่ในอีกโลกหนึ่งเหมือนกับสวรรค์บนดินนะคะแล้วก็เวลาเราเข้ามาแล้วเนี่ยเราก็จะรู้สึกว่ารู้สึกมีความสุขแล้วก็รู้สึกเหมือนเรามี peaceful ข้างในอะค่ะแล้วก็ มาแล้วเราก็จะอยากมาอีกไม่ว่าจะมาเจอคนที่อยู่ในวัดทุกๆคนก็มีใจที่เมตตานะคะแล้วก็เป็นกัลยาณมิตรทุกคนแล้วก็จะได้เจอกับพระอาจารย์ฉันทโกนะคะซึ่งมีความเมตตาแล้วก็พวกเราก็เคารพนับถือพระอาจารย์ทุกคนนะคะแล้วก็หากใครอยากจะมาที่สงบแล้วก็ปฏิบัติธรรมก็เชิญชวนให้มาที่วัดนี้นะคะเพราะว่าจะสงบมากแล้วก็เป็นที่เหมาะสำหรับการมาปฏิบัติธรรมนั่งสมาธิแล้วก็ถ้าหากว่าอยากจะมาทำบุญก็เชิญชวนมาทำบุญนะคะจะได้มีบารมีแล้วก็ได้เกิดมาเป็นชาวพุทธแล้วก็เป็นลูกศิษย์ของพระพุทธเจ้าแล้วก็จะได้มาเป็นกัลยาณมิตรร่วมกันค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ
I'm about to do a bio for Ajahn Sambodhi. Ajahn Sambodhi was originally from the Czech Republic, and in the year 2000, he went to Lower Burma, where he received his higher ordination in a forest monastery. After spending 2 years almost entirely in solitude, he moved to Sri Lanka, and there he completed his Nisaya training at Nayana Aranya Forest Monastery. This was followed by a period of practice in solitude in various kutis over Sri Lanka, around Sri Lanka, but mainly in the Lagala area. He alternated this period with prolonged stays in several Western monasteries in the Ajahn Chah lineage. Excuse me. He arrived in New Zealand shortly before the pandemic, and his time spent wandering on Tudong, as well as spending the Vasa at Vimutti Monastery. I will now pass over to Ren Hulen.
Now let us put our palms together. We'll be now requesting a Dhamma talk from Ajahn Sambodhi. So just be Ajahn bow 3 times. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Brahma Chaloka Dipati Sahampati Katan Jalian Divaram Ayachata Santi Dasata Haraja Kajatika Dese Tudamang Anukam Himang Pajam.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So, welcome to everybody. Thank you for this opportunity, Ajahn. We have just heard a few words about Vimutti Monastery. I can confirm everything that has been said. Vimutti is a very peaceful and very conducive place for meditation, for developing the Dhamma practice. I can confirm that because I have been here now continuously for 4.5 months. I would say it was one of the best Vasa retreats I have had so far. This was the 22nd Vasa. And actually it was also this intensely peaceful because of current situation, COVID and so on. But anyway, I believe it would be very peaceful also without this unfortunate circumstance we all are in. And here in the monastery, it's kind of oasis for us of peace, basically, because we don't have much contact with the outer world, and we don't know that much about what is happening around the world. But even despite of that, I still try to keep track what is going on. So from time to time, I connect to internet because I think I need to be somewhat informed, but it's very easy to keep it on low level, just basic thing. But I cannot really imagine what you are immersed in when you are not staying here. But I think it's very good to have such a place for people who live in this area, at least to have an opportunity to come and experience peace as they can. But for me, it was really extremely fortunate to be here, and I would like to thank everybody who made this possible. Our supporters, all of you. It's a really amazing gift for me, and I would like to repay a little bit by sharing a little Dhamma reflection at this point. I was thinking you hear a lot about what actually Buddha already taught 2,500 years ago, a lot about illness these days, right? This pandemic, which we nicknamed Ajahn COVID, because it's also a kind of unfortunate circumstance which actually can't teach us, like Ajahns are teaching us. So this Ajahn COVID actually also teaches us what already Buddha taught those centuries ago, that simply illness is one of the things which are part of the life. It cannot be avoided, right? And yeah, life is like what we are repeatedly coming into is birth, aging, sickness, and death. This is a natural part of life which cannot be removed, cannot be solved, even though it seems that politicians sometimes think that we can actually remove death completely from our lives, And here in New Zealand, it's a little bit more extreme because so far this country pretty much avoided the pandemic. And for a long time, there was only 25 cases of people who unfortunately died. And after a long time, one old 90-year-old lady died because of COVID. And politicians used to use this as the case as justification of these extreme measures of trying to stop COVID, which I think is not really possible. It's only possible to delay it. So I would say New Zealand is now starting to experience actually pandemic. Anyway, but through this you can see sometimes it looks like the way they are trying to stop and control everything. It seems that they think it's possible to see if it was possible to live without death. But as we know, I think this reflection actually can help us to bring us some peace, that basically whatever is happening is what is supposed to be happening. Normally when we go to see a doctor, we say there is something wrong with me, I am sick, but actually we should say there is something right with me, I am sick. Because that's what is expected from time to time in life. Everybody gets sometimes sick, and of course, if on finite planet population grows, is allowed to grow infinitely, that's exactly what is going on now. Is what is expected, has to happen, basically. But anyway, for illnesses of the body, we still can take some measures to try to heal ourselves. We take medicines and so on. But at the same time, I would say even more important is to protect our mind. And for that, we have this medicine that Buddha left us, medicine called Dhamma. And for us, it's quite easy to maintain this framework of Dhamma and not to allow ourselves to be swept all these terrible news, which you are probably much more often subjected to outside. But for you, it's even more important to keep this medicine in your mind, to protect your mind from all the craziness of the world. But one of the things you can do, of course, is not to turn TV on very often, or not to watch the news very often, or read only very little, simply keep track what is going on. That's one way, one thing. If this is not possible, if you need to be more informed, then you can still use Dhamma teachings and Dhamma reflections to protect right view, because most of what you hear outside in the world from news, from TV, is either directly a wrong view, or it is affected by wrong view, or formed by wrong view. Most of the people, journalists, politicians, and so on, have this idea, maybe even unconsciously in mind, as if it was just one life that we live. And of course, if they think there is just one life, then COVID is terrible disaster. And of course, they will try whatever they can to stop it and to save lives, no matter what, and so on. So we need to keep in the mind the fact that there is actually many lives, and this is just one little, like, grain of sand in great desert. We know that Buddha said that there is no discernible beginning of the rebirth. So if we go back the past, there is infinity of lives that we have lived. Normally, people who are not very well acquainted with the Buddha's teachings, they say, that's kind of comforting idea, right? That we are reborn again. So what is the problem? But it's actually a misunderstanding. As you know, don't in the Dhamma, we don't see this infinite cycle of rebirths as something to be welcomed or to be enjoying. But that's basically the core problem. So what we are trying to develop through practices that Ajahn Chandako was talking about, through maintaining sila, practicing dana, and developing the mind, samadhi, and panya, we are trying to understand what this process of life is, and what sustains it, and how it can be brought to a peaceful end in what we call Nibbana. And this stands no matter what is happening outside in the world, pandemic or whatever else is going to come, because I personally think this is just the beginning, because of simply overpopulation, all the climate change, COVID, and whatever else will come is because the planet has its limits. But still, no matter what will come, if we keep basic ideas from the Buddha's teachings in our mind, keep reflecting on them, if we don't allow ourselves to be swept by all that craziness of the world, we can still preserve the peace of the mind, and our stream of consciousness will keep moving in the right direction. So these are a few reflections I would like to offer. Thank you for attention.
Sadhu. Thank you, Ajahn, for the inspiring Dhamma talk and importance of protecting our mind from the external environment. Thank you, Ajahn.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ajahn. Thank you, Ajahn. We'll now have some more personal videos of people discussing Vimutti. Sadhu.
สาธุขอกราบขอบพระคุณในความเมตตาของท่านสัมโพธินะคะ ที่ได้มาบรรยายธรรมะดีๆให้พวกเราได้รับฟังกันนะคะหลังจากนี้ก็จะเป็นการรับชมวิดีโอจากหลายๆท่านที่ได้มาร่วมกิจกรรมของวัดป่าวิมุตติกันนะคะหลังจากจบจากวิดีโอแล้วสามเณรอนันโจก็จะมาให้ธรรมะสั้นๆกับพวกเราต่อไปนะคะค่ะเชิญรับชมวิดีโอกันค่ะ
Yeah, I come to Vimutti because I love the peace, the quiet, the bird sound. I love the feeling I get when I come through the gate at the top. Because it connects me with the Dhamma straight away. And when I come down here and hear the sounds and the feeling, it's just a different feeling to the outside world. So another good aspect of it is that if you're lucky, you get the chance to hear the teachings of Ajahn Chandako. He knows the Dhamma inside out, and I recommend that you come here to see him and listen to his talks, and also to feel the peace and tranquility of this beautiful place. Sadhu.
สวัสดีค่ะชื่อวิค่ะชอบมาวิมุตติเพราะว่าสงบมีนกเยอะแล้วก็พระอาจารย์มีเมตตามากมาที่นี่ทุกครั้งตอนปฏิบัติธรรมสงบแล้วก็ลืมโลกภายนอกไปเลยค่ะมาทีไรก็จิตใจชื่นฉ่ำมีความสุขปลื้มปิติทุกครั้งที่กลับไปบ้านจะมีพลังมากทำให้มีแรงต่อสู้ขอบคุณมากค่ะพระอาจารย์
Hi, I'm Anoja. I live in Auckland, New Zealand. I come to the monastery often. I just love to come here. The monastery speaks to me. It opens my heart whenever I come here. Gives me a chance to unwind, to stay in peace, and to realize the effect I have through that when I unwind. Dhamma is everywhere in this environment. If you open your eyes and walk around, you can see the Dhamma everywhere. Lovely people I have met at the monastery, some of them being my most treasured friends. They are amazing people who continue to come to Vimutti for these same kinds of reasons. Vimutti helps me to get a balance in life, to put things in, to give some clarity to my mind. The Dhamma is everywhere here. Now I must say, Ajahn Chandako has been the silent teacher for me. His Dhamma teachings are often not through words, but through his engaging with the activities held here at Vimutti, and we participate in those activities. So we grow in the Dhamma. I wait for every chance to come to Vimutti, and I hope you can too one day.
สวัสดีค่ะจินตราค่ะวันนี้ จินได้มาทำสวนที่วิมุตตินะคะแล้วก็วันนี้นะคะอากาศดีมากซึ่งเป็นวันที่แบบว่าเป็นอะไรที่เราได้ออกมาจากบ้านนะคะแล้วก็ได้มาทำประโยชน์ได้มาทำสวนแล้วก็จัดการความรู้สึกกับเราด้วยขณะเวลาที่เราทำสวนนะคะถ้าใครยังไม่เคยมาที่วิมุตติโมนาสทรีนะคะอยากให้ท่านได้ลองมาที่นี่นะคะที่นี่สงบแล้วก็อาจารย์ก็สอนดีมากค่ะยังไงก็ถ้ามีเวลาก็มาที่วิมุตตินะคะสวัสดีค่ะ
Hello, welcome to the Vimutti Monastery up here in the Bombay Hills of Auckland, New Zealand. I'd like to talk a little bit about the monastery and our abbot, Ajahn Chandako. My name is Peter Duffy, and here we have we've been talking to Ajahn. I've been talking to Ajahn for many years, over 10 years now, and and his vision for the monastery has been very, very good. We've been doing a lot of planting and a lot of landscaping and a lot of pruning. We also have a lot of people coming up here for teachings in Dhamma and meditation, who, by the way, Ajahn is a very, very good teacher. The atmosphere up here is so relaxed and very, very good. Thank you very much for listening to me, and have a good day.
Now we are going to have a Dhamma talk from Samanera Anenjo. First, let me give a short introduction. Anenjo was born in Palmerston North in 1991. He attended University of Auckland, receiving a Bachelor of Arts in 2014 and a Master of Arts in 2017. Anenjo became interested in Buddhism in high school, and his interest in the Dhamma and monastic life gradually grew until he decided to pursue ordination in 2020. In May 2021, he ordained as a novice and was given the name Anenjo.
We will now be requesting a Dhamma talk from Samanera Anenjo. So let us put our palms together and pay respect by bowing 3 times to Sameno. First bow, second bow, third bow.
Go ahead, Ajahn.
Happy Kathina to everyone who's taken the time out of their day to unplug from the matrix and tune into the Against the Stream freedom frequency of the Dhamma. A warm special welcome to my Auntie Ingrid, who's joining us all the way from Trout Lake in the great state of Washington on the United States West Coast. And also a warm special welcome to my mum and my dad, who are joining us from Ashurst, New Zealand. And happy birthday to my mum, who has just turned 70. And also happy birthday to my dad, who's just about to turn 80 later this month on the 30th of November. So happy birthday to both of you and welcome. I'd like to take this opportunity to firstly express my gratitude to all of those people who have been supporting the Sangha while the Sangha has been on its annual 3-month rains retreat called the Vasa. I would then like to tell you a little bit about why I decided to renounce worldly life and become a Buddhist monk. And finally, I'll wrap everything up by sharing with you one of the main insights that I had during my retreat period. So firstly, I'd like to say thank you to all of those people who have been supporting our practice. The Buddha encouraged those who have ordained to frequently reflect on and appreciate the fact that our lives as alms mendicants are solely dependent on the gifts and generosity of others. In Pali, he states, Parapatipadda mejiwikati abhajitena abhinang pachawekitabang. My very life is sustained through the gifts and generosity of others. This should be reflected upon again and again by one who has gone forth. So based on the Buddha's recommendation, I've made it a regular part of my daily practice to bring to mind all of those people who support my practice. So without further ado, number one, thank you to the lay supporters who bring food to the monastery every day and help keep the monastery looking tidy and well maintained. Thank you. Thank you also to my parents, who I am pleased to announce are now in full support of my choice to become a Buddhist monk. It makes a huge difference having backing from the family, and without their permission, I wouldn't actually be able to ordain as a fully ordained monk next year called a bhikkhu. So it's great to know that there's now no obstruction or impediment with regards to that. Also, thank you to my teacher, Ajahn Chandako, for teaching me the dynamic art of kilesa management and for also giving me a few tools and tips with regards to overcoming the 5 hindrances to mental development. And also thank you to Ajahn Sambodhi for taking the time out of his day, most days after lunch, to check in with me and find out how my practice is going and offering pieces of advice such as developing contentment in the present moment, as well as develop the importance of developing the 5 faculties as an antidote to the 5 hindrances. So without the support of others, my practice would certainly not be possible. As the African collectivist philosophy of Ubuntu states, I am because we are. So thank you, sadhu, anumodana. One of the questions that I commonly get asked is why I decided to renounce worldly life and become a Buddhist monk. So I thought I would take this opportunity to answer that very question, as well as telling you a little bit about the training that I've received so far here at the monastery. So to begin with, my interest in Buddhism was first sparked when I was 16 or 17. In my high school library, I was reading a book on the world's 5 major religions, and the Buddhist religion immediately stood out to me as being the most appealing, particularly the tale of the Buddha himself, a prince who left the palace, gave up everything, and devoted his life to firstly discovering peace within himself, and then teaching others the way to unconditional peace. And I think looking back now, the reason I like the tale of the Buddha so much was because his life story was a lot easier to relate to. He was a human being who, just like the rest of us, was simply looking to find within himself a secure source of peace and happiness that wasn't dependent on people, things, and gods outside of himself. He was a human being who sought peace in a human way, realized peace through human effort, and taught the way to peace to others in a very human way, thus allowing us all now the wonderful opportunity, the rare opportunity to live more fulfilling and enjoyable lives by living in accordance with universal principles. And that's the main reason that the Buddhist religion for me had the most immediate appeal. Next part of my journey, I was 18 when I came up to Auckland to study from Palmerston North, and I was very excited to join the Auckland University Buddhist Association on campus. And it was through that association that I was introduced to Buddhist monks from various traditions who didn't just talk the talk, but actually walk the walk. And as such, were a great source of inspiration for me. And it was around about this time of my life when I first started coming to Vimutti Monastery in Auckland, as well as Bodhinyana Monastery in Stokes Valley, Wellington. And it was about this stage of my life when the idea of actually becoming a Buddhist monk myself was first starting to take shape in my mind. But I think the book that really sealed the deal for me was a monastic etiquette manual that I read online entitled Korwat, which essentially outlines the rules, guidelines, and etiquette that govern monks' lives in the Thai forest tradition of Ajahn Chah. And it was written specifically for Wat Pa Nanachak, the international forest monastery in Thailand, which is a training monastery primarily for Westerners and internationals who wish to become monks. And this is exactly what I was looking for, a grassroots back to basics tradition that was original to the faithful to the original doctrine and discipline of the Buddha, while at the same time still specifically catering to Westerners who wish to become monks. So it was around about 11 p.m. at night in a student hall of residence in Auckland City, after reading that online monastic etiquette manual, that I first started to seriously consider becoming a Buddhist forest monk. And then shortly after that, I attended a 10-day retreat here at Vimutti entitled the End of World Retreat. That was in 2012, and that was enough to convince me to tell my parents that I was going to quit my studies, right off into the sunset, and become a Buddhist monk. Long story short, they told me that I would need to get an education first. So I continued with my studies, and I ended up getting my master's degree with first class honors, and was thereafter awarded a PhD scholarship to continue in a PhD program. And then I did cost benefit analysis and concluded that another couple of years of study was simply not worth it. And besides, I already had a degree. So with my parents' permission, I emailed Ajahn and told him that I was now ready to become a monk. And then So now, actually, sorry, now I'd like to tell you a little bit about the training that I've received so far here at the monastery. Once you've decided that you want to become a monk in the Thai forest tradition, it's a very gradual process by which you actually become a monk. It takes about 2 years from layman to fully ordained. So I arrived at Vimutti on the 1st of June of last year, 2020, and I was ordained as a white robe postulant called an anagarika 28 days later, the 28th of June, and then I undertook a year of training as an anagarika before being considered by the Sangha for novice ordination. And then I took a novice ordination as a brown robe novice monk called a samanera, and that was 6 months ago on the 23rd of May, and I'm currently halfway through my novice training. And in another 6 months, I'll be eligible for higher ordination as a fully ordained monk called a bhikkhu, which will be about 2 years after I first arrived at Vimutti. In summary, the gradual training that I've received so far here at the monastery has been excellent, second to none in my estimation, and it has more than adequately prepared me to level up next May and take the Buddha's full prescription for peace, if the conditions allow it. So now I'd like to wrap everything up by sharing with you one of the main insights that I had during my retreat period. And the insight that I'd like to share with you is this: the most important relationship that we will ever have in our lives is the relationship that we have with ourselves. The way we relate to others is to a large extent commensurate with the way we relate to and perceive ourselves. Being kind to ourselves, being aware of our shortcomings, and developing the wise ability to overcome our unwholesome inclinations is the single greatest thing that we can do to help other people. As the time-honored Delphic maxim states in ancient Greek, "Gnothe se auton," know thyself. And in order to prevent yourself from committing philosophical suicide, I would further add to this: know thyself, be authentically true to thyself, let thy presence be a loudspeaker for the inaudible whisper of the human heart, love thyself unconditionally. Then and only then will you be adequately equipped to truly understand and love thy neighbor. And when you treat others as kindly as you treat your authentic self, the worldly winds will always be at your back, and the road to the deathless will rise up to meet you. And remember, true freedom is freedom from ignorance, craving, and the illusion of the self. Sabbe Dhamma anatta. In all things, there is no abiding self. The direct realization of this universal truth will set you free. I offer these words for your reflection, and I warmly invite you to investigate them, put them into practice, and see what's true for you. Happy Kathina.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Samanya, for the Dhamma sharing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Anenjo.
You're welcome.
Okay, now we're going to have a few more personal videos of people discussing Vimutti, and after that we're going to be doing some Paritta, listening to some Paritta chanting. Atu.
สาธุค่ะขอกราบขอบพระคุณท่านสามเณรอนันโชนะคะที่เป็นแบบอย่างที่ดีของคนรุ่นใหม่และมอบความรู้ทางพระพุทธศาสนาให้กับเราต่อจากนี้เราก็จะได้รับชมวิดีโอน่ารักจากเพื่อนกัลยาณมิตรให้ชมกันอีกนะคะหลังจากนั้นเราก็จะร่วมรับฟังบทสวดพระปริตรพิธีถวายพระไตรจีวรแล้วก็จะเป็นการพรมน้ำมนต์ออนไลน์ครั้งแรกของเรานะคะต่อจากนั้นเราก็จะมาสรุปยอดการทำบุญของเรากันนะคะรับชมวิดีโอกันเลยค่ะ Please watch video together.
Greetings, my name is Amali and I'm from Auckland, New Zealand. I was born to Sri Lankan parents in Sri Lanka who were Buddhists and who always engaged with the temples around them. So Buddhism was anyway a part of life. And since coming to New Zealand, I used to come to Vimutti mainly to bring dana because that was a big part even in Sri Lanka. That's how you first engage with the Dhamma. And then there were the Labor Day retreats, which was my first retreat, and I got a lot of satisfaction. And also by being in a concentrated place, in a silent environment, you are really able to meditate, because meditating at home for 10-20 minutes is quite different to being in a place where other people are meditating, where there is a meditation teacher, Ajahn Chandako, and also I have done a retreat in Vimutti itself. So to Vimutti, I used to come again with dana, and then I got involved with, say, coming for the Good Karma Day, which again taught a lot, not only about the Dhamma, but about how orderly things run, how smoothly, and how it is all very flexible and open. It's just up to us to give of ourselves and do something. And so the more I got involved, then I cherished the Dhamma teachings, because it's quite hard to do it on your own. So you do need a good teacher who you can follow and also see how they practice in their daily lives. So coming to Vimutti, originally to stay in a kuti was quite a tough thing for me, because I was thinking, okay, you know, at home I've got a nice bedroom, I've got the ensuite, what are the toilets going to be like? And to take that first leap was hard, but I really, really enjoyed it. And I thought how simple life can be, how the Dhamma teaches us to let go and embrace Dhamma in our practice, in our day-to-day practice. And since then I've been decluttering my house and looking at all the non-essential things, because those are all things that we cling to with greed, which we don't need. Coming to Vimutti, of course, I mean, it's a beautiful place, quite apart from the Dhamma. I mean, there are some gorgeous trees, and loving kindness is extended to the animals. You can see how well the cats are looked after, and also the peacocks, and in general, people. It's like everything is so easy and flexible, and anything goes. Ajahn will just smile and, you know, gently guide us if we are doing the wrong thing, but it's all part of the teachings. And I love the picnic by the ponds in summer, where Ajahn is sitting on a tree log. It's so natural and peaceful and harmonious with nature. Even just the recycling that happens in the monastery just goes to explain how we are respectful of our environment, and loving kindness is extended to all. So I do engage with Vimutti, and I want to spend more and more time and be closer to Vimutti, because that really helps me in my Dhamma path. And I'm very grateful, sadhu anumodana, to Ajahn Chandako for the teachings and the practice of Dhamma, and to all the people who make this place a beautiful one for all of us to enjoy. Sadhu.
สวัสดีค่ะดิฉันน้ำทิพย์แสงเพิ่มหรือน้ำทิพย์แกเรตนะคะค่ะดิฉันชอบวัดวิมุตติมากค่ะเพราะว่าที่นี่เมื่อดิฉันมาทีไรจะมีความรู้สึกว่าเป็นธรรมชาติแล้วก็ผู้คนที่เราได้พบที่วัดแล้วก็รวมถึงพระอาจารย์แล้วก็พระลูกวัดด้วยจะน่ารักแล้วก็ให้เกียรติแล้วก็มีความเมตตาต่อกันนะคะก็เลยมีความรู้สึกว่าเรามีความอบอุ่นเหมือนเป็นครอบครัวเดียวกันนะคะแล้วก็สถานที่นี้เป็นสถานที่ที่สงบแล้วเป็นธรรมชาติมีเสียงนกเสียงกาแล้วก็ทุ่งหญ้าที่สวยงามนะคะอยากให้ทุกคนค่ะที่นับถือศาสนาพุทธนะคะต้องการความสงบvery peaceful นะคะได้มาเที่ยวแล้วก็ได้มาเยี่ยมชมที่วัดป่าวิมุตติมากเลยค่ะก็จะต้องรักแล้วก็ชอบเหมือนที่ทิพย์ชอบเลยนะคะเชิญชวนทุกคนนะคะไม่ว่าใครที่อยากจะได้สูตรบรรยากาศที่ฟินแล้วก็มีความสงบมากนะคะก็ให้เชิญมาที่นี่เลยค่ะวัดป่าวิมุตติยินดีต้อนรับทุกท่านเลยนะคะสวัสดีค่ะ
I'm Chandra. I have been visiting Vimutti from 2015 and has been a regular visitor, and I really like Vimutti for its peaceful place and Dhamma talks by Ajahn Chandako. And I strongly recommend for anybody to visit this place. It's a very beautiful environment and it's good for meditation and peace. Sadhu.
สวัสดีค่ะเสงี่ยมหรือจูนดัฟฟี่ค่ะเว้าอีสานเนาะค่ะเนาะที่มาวัดนี่นะลมเย็นมาทำงานลังเทือบ่ได้มาสมาธิก็มาทำงานค่ะว่างก็มาแล้วก็วัดนี่มีเบิดทุกสิ่งทุกอย่างพระอาจารย์เพิ่นเมตตาพระอาจารย์ชันตะโกเพิ่นก็เว้าอีสานได้นิดหน่อยเพิ่นก็เคยอยู่อุบลเนาะค่ะเนาะมาลังเทือก็มาทำงานลังเทือก็นำอาหารมาถวายพระอาจารย์พออยู่ใกล้ก็หมู่แล้วก็เพื่อนๆทุกคนที่อยู่ในนิวซีแลนด์หรืออยู่ไกลก็เชิญมาเด้อค่ะเด้อมีเบิดทุกอย่างทั้งเมตตาละงานก็หลายอยู่ทั้งนี้ค่ะถ้ามาก็มาซอยกันค่ะพระอาจารย์เพิ่นให้ความเมตตาบ่ว่าสิมีทุกข์มีสุขหรือว่าเฮามีทุกข์มาเฮาเข้ามานี่เฮาก็ใจสดชื่นนะคะมาทำงานแต่ว่าเฮาบ่เมื่อยถึงสิเมื่อยเฮาก็บ่เมื่อยค่ะแล้วก็เชิญชวนเพื่อนๆมาทำบุญน้ำกันอยู่นี่บางคนอาจสิบ่เคยมาแต่ว่าก็ลองมาเบิ่งค่ะแค่นี้ล่ะค่ะจังใดก็ขอฝากวัดอยู่ไกลๆเฮาทั้งนี้แน่เด้อค่ะเด้อสาธุค่ะ
What's your name?
Bodhi.
Greetings everyone from all around the world. So we're happy to be here with you today. We are the organizers from Singapore, from Malaysia, from New Zealand, and from Australia. So on behalf of our friends from Vimutti, our friends from BuddhaDhamma Foundation, Nibbana Dhamma Rakkha, as well as the Bandar Utama Buddhist Society in Kuala Lumpur, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us today in this very auspicious gathering. As we all know, this is the season of Kathina, which we are honoring all the noble sanghas and celebrating their hard work and effort during their practice of the 3 months vasa. And Vimutti has specially selected today to celebrate with the whole world. And it being very auspicious, it is also a ceremony for us as lay communities and devotees to offer Kathina robes and any other gifts to the Mahasangha. These robes offered to the Mahasangha, it's only done once a year and during this specific time. These are not offered just to one individual monk, but to the whole of the community of the noble Sangha. By this offering, it is indeed a very, very rare opportunity for all of us to be participating in this noble offering. If you do have got your robes at home, you may put them on a tray and hold them in your hand. And as Ajahn and the community chants the Paritta, right? Just call to all the devas and the 10 Dhammas and get this merit. However, if you do not have a robe in hand, you can also join in this sharing of the merits by receiving the Paritta chanting, okay, through holding a vessel of water in hand. This vessel of water will collect all the good deeds and good merits that you accrue from today's good participation and use this to share with your family members and your relatives and the community that you have back home. It is very significant right now that we have Noble Sangha sharing the Parittas with us right now in Vimutti. The significance of the Paritta chanting will help us to give us a sense of safety, a sense of peace, as well as we reflect on these noble words of the Buddha. It will all help us to purify our mind towards peace and liberation and Nibbana. So may I now invite everyone to now put your palms in Anjali and chant together with Brother Baksun in the request for Paritta chanting.
We shall now request for the chanting.
Don't mind.
Please bow 3 times. First bow. Third bow. Vipati pati bahaya sabba sampati siddhiya sabba dukkha vinasaya paritang bruta manggalang. Vipati pati bahaya sabba sampati siddhiya sabba baya vinasaya paritang bruta manggalang. Vipati pati bahaya sabba sampati siddhiya sabba roga vinasaya paritang bruta manggalang.
Now the Sangha will chant the Parittas during this time. You are welcome to make your heart peaceful. You can use it as a period of meditation, and we'll also be showing the names of the people who've been offering robes in celebration of this ceremony. So sadhu anumodana to all of you who have supported the monastery in that way. I will begin by inviting the devas, the spiritual beings, to join us for this auspicious occasion. Vitavana metang sameta badanta Ahwiketa chita paritang banan Sage kame jaru bengiri sigarata te Chandare ke vimane Jiperate jagame tarvanagane Ye avatum hikete Uma Jayandu Deva Janatala Visameyaka Ganda Banaga Jitanda Sandike Yang Muniwa Wachanang Sadhavo Me Sunan Buddha Dasanakalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma savanakalo ayang padanta Sangha bhairupa sanakalo ayang padanta Namo ata Sambhagavato Arahato Samma Sambhu Nasanamota Samagavato Arahato Samma Sambhu Nasanamota Samagavato Arahato Samma Sambhu Samudang sanang gacchami dhammang saranang gacchami sanghang saranang gacchami dutiyam vibhodang saranang gacchami dutiyam dhammang saranang gacchami dutiyam Sanghang saranang gacchami tatiyam vibhodang saranang
Gacchami tatiyampi dhammang saranang Gacchami tatiyampi sanghang saranang Gacchami yocha kumamo amala pagato sammang vabuto sugato vimuto marasapasa minimo jayanto pape sikemang janatang venayam buddhang varantang sirasa namami loka sanatan javina yakan jatante jasate jayasi dehotu sapantaraya javina samentu dhammo dajoyo Viyata sasatu dase siloka savisu limangan niyaniko dhammadara sadari satavaho santikaro sucino dhammang varantang sirasa namami mohapadang upasantadang Tante jasate jayasi dehotusa pantaraya Javina samentu sadamasena sugata nujoyo loka sapapu akile sajeta santo sayang sandiniyo jako jasavakata namang Viditang karoti sanghang varantang tirasa namami buddhanubudhang samasila diting tante jasate jayasi dihotu sabantaraya javina samentu namo arahato samma sambuddha Sammaesino namo Dhamma Sasvakata Sevate Nidanamo Maha Sangha Sapivisu Dasiladiktino Namo Oma Tayarada Saratana Taya Sasadukam Namo Oma Katita Sata Zavadu Taya Sapinamo Kara Pamave Navika Chandu Padava Namo Kara Nubhave Nasua Tihotu Sabada Namo Kara Sadeje Navidi Nihomi Dejawa Asevana Jabalanang Panditanan Jasevana Puja Japujaniyanang Etamang Kalamodamang Padiro Pade Savaso Japube Jakata Punyata Padasama Nidija etamang galamodamang Pahusatan jasi panjavinayo jasusito subhasita daya vacha etamang galamodamang Mata pitu padana Buddhadara sasanggao Anakula jagamanda Etamang galamodamang Danan jalam acariya Janya kadanan jasanggao Anavanjani kamani mangalamutaman arati virati papa majapana jasanyamo apamano jadame suetam mangalamutaman yaravo jamivato jasantu te jakatanyuta Kalena Dhamma Sawana Ekam Mangalamutaman Kanti Jaso Vajasata Samananam Chadasanam Kalena Dhamma Sakacha Ekam Mangalamutaman Tapo Brahmacharya Jaya Sachanadasanam Nibbana Sajikiriya Jayeta Mangalamutaman Buddha Saloka Dhammeti Tanya Sanakam Patiya Sokam Virajam Kemam Etam Mangalamutaman Eta Disanikatva Sabbatama Parajita Sabata sotinga tande sang mangalamutamanti yankin chivetang yidawang brahma sage sumayang ratanang pamitang nano samanga ditata katena idam vibhure pratanang panitang yetena sache nasua viho tukayang viragam amatang panitang yata jaga sakyamuni samahito natena dhammena samahikinchidam idamme ratanang panitang etena sache nasua viho tuyam buddhaseto Parivandahi suci samadimanan darikan yamau samadinate nasamonavi jatidam vidamme ratanang panitang etena sache naswati hontu yeko gala atasatang pasata Jatari etani yoga nihonti teda kineya sugata sasavaka ete sudhina nimaha palani idam visange haratanang panita etena sache suwati hotu yesu payuta manasandale nami Kamino Gautama Sanamite Patipata Amata Vigaya Lada Muda Nibuting Bunjamana Idam Pisange Ratanang Vanitang Etena Sache Naswati Hodu Kinang Puranang Nawang Nati Sambhavan Virata Cita Yatike Bhavasmin Teki Nabija Virohi Chandra Nibanti Dira Yatayam Padipo Idam Visange Ratanang Panitang Etena Sache Naswati Hodu Metam jasa baloka saming manasam bhavaye aparimanam udang ado jatiriya jahasambadang averang asapatang itam jarang visino vasayano vayavata savigatamido etam sating adi Eya Brahma Metang Viharan Idamaruditing Janupagam Asiravanda Samena Sampano Kame Suvineya Mahakaruniko Nato Hidaya Sabapanina Puretava Paramita Papato Sambodhi Dhamma Ekena Sajavajena Hotute Jaya Mangalam Jayando Bodhiyamure Sakyana Nandivandano Eva Gawang Vijayo Vijaya Sujaya Mangale Aparajita Palanke Sise Patavi Pokare Abhiseke Sababudana Agapato Tati Sunakatang Sumangalang Supapatang Sutitan Sukano Sumohuto Tang Brahmachari Supadakina Kaya Kamang Vacha Kamang Padakinang Padakinang Manokamang Paniti Te Padakina Padakina Nikatva Nalabantate Padakine Bhavatu Sabamangalang Rakantu Sabadevata Sababudana Bhave Nasada Soti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sabamangalang Rakantu Sabadevata Sabadhamma Bhave Nasada Soti Bhavantu Bhavatu Sabamangalang Rakantu Sabadevata Sabasangram Bhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te.
So brothers and sisters, let us all now put our palms together and say 3 large sadhus together. Sadhu, 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 anumodani.
So traditionally at the end of chanting the Parittas, then we'll share the holy water with people. Of course, we have to do that digitally. So whatever water you have, imagine the holy water sprinkling coolly down on top of you. Yeah. We still have digital limitations. Okay. You get the idea? Very good. So now we can move on to the next. We're gonna have a few more videos that we'll be watching, and after that we'll continue with summarizing the donations and sharing anumodana with those people who supported our practice. Okay, let's do the videos.
สวัสดีค่ะเก๋ค่ะชุติมาสร่างสกุลค่ะเก๋มาที่วัดป่าวิมุตตินี่มากกว่า10 ปีแล้วนะคะทุกครั้งที่มาวัดป่าวิมุตตินี่มันเหมือนกับว่าทำให้เรารู้สึกโล่งปลอดโปร่งแล้วก็ทำให้มีพลังกายแล้วก็พลังใจกลับไปต่อสู้ในชีวิตประจำวันของเราได้อะค่ะI come to the Vimutti for more than 10 years. Every time when I come here, this is the very peaceful and beautiful place. It also fill up my energy to move on for my everyday life. อยากสิเชิญชวนพ่อแม่พี่น้องทุกคนพาลูกพาหลานมาวัดกันเด้อค่ะเด้อสวัสดีค่ะ
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I've been going to the Vimutti Monastery since 2013. My mum used to take me there and I've been going ever since. One of my favorite things about the Vimutti temple is that lots of different cultures come together and it's great to see variety of people there, especially when it comes to the celebrations. And I'll probably continue going there until I'm about Ajahn age.
Hi, my name's Marissa. I've been going to the Vimutti temple with my mum since I was 2. I'm currently 17 now, so it's been a while. My favourite thing when I go over there is definitely the beautiful scenery. It's very peaceful and quiet, and you really have time to think to yourself. Everyone is really lovely and inviting, and yes, I'll probably continue to go for a while.
สวัสดีค่ะเราก็ได้รับชมวิดีโอสั้นๆจบไปแล้วนะคะหลังจากนี้ก็จะเป็นวิดีโอจากประเทศไทยค่ะนมัสการพระอาจารย์พูดอะไรสักนิดนึงเกี่ยวกับโรงเรียนทอศรีไหมคะนมัสการค่ะท่านอาจารย์
ก็ดีใจนะคะที่ได้ไปกราบท่านอาจารย์ฉันทโกได้ไปเห็นวัดวิมุตติสวยงามสงบมากน่าประทับใจจริงๆค่ะแล้วก็ดีใจที่ได้ร่วมทางไปกับเด็กๆทอศรีก็ต้องกราบขอบพระคุณท่านฉันทโกที่อนุญาตให้พวกเราได้ไปนอนที่วัดได้ไปทำกิจกรรมต่างๆที่วัดแล้วก็ทำให้เด็กๆได้ฝึกการเป็นผู้เลี้ยงง่ายได้ทั้งความสนุกสนานแล้วก็ได้ธรรมะด้วย และที่สำคัญยิ่งก็คือทำให้เด็กๆได้เห็นศรัทธาในพระพุทธศาสนาในต่างแดนทริปนี้ก็ถือเป็นทริปที่เต็มเปี่ยมไปด้วยความสุขแล้วก็อิ่มบุญก็ขอบพระคุณพี่ๆทุกคนที่เสียสละเวลาดูแลพวกเราอย่างดีที่สุดนะคะพวกเรามีความสุขมากๆแล้วก็เป็นทริปที่ประทับใจจริงๆค่ะขอบพระคุณนะคะ
สวัสดีค่ะคุณครูน้ำอ้อยจากโรงเรียนทอศรีค่ะเมื่อ2 ปีที่แล้วคุณครูและเด็กๆได้มีโอกาสเข้าร่วมงานกฐินของที่วัดรู้สึกประทับใจที่ได้เห็นภาพชาวพุทธทั้งที่เป็นชาวไทยและชาวต่างชาติมาร่วมงานกฐินกันอย่างมากมายในดินแดนที่ห่างไกลประเทศไทยห่างไกลจากต้นกำเนิดของพระพุทธศาสนาและที่ประทับใจยิ่งกว่าก็คือบรรยากาศที่รื่นรมมีความโรแมนีของวัดและชาวพุทธที่นิวซีแลนด์ที่ให้การต้อนรับเราซึ่งเป็นคนไทยอย่างดียิ่งทั้งอบอุ่นและก็ให้เสียสละในการดูแลพวกเราตลอดที่เราพำนักอยู่ที่นั่นขอบพระคุณมากเลยค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะริสาค่ะวันนี้ก็จะมาพูดถึงประสบการณ์การไปที่วัดวิมุตติที่นิวซีแลนด์ค่ะในตอนนั้นริสาป่วยค่ะก็เลยไปได้แค่3 วันสุดท้ายแต่ว่าพอไปถึงริสาคิดว่าคุ้มค่ามากๆเลยค่ะเพราะว่าริสาถึงแม้มันจะเป็นเวลาสั้นๆแต่ว่าริสาได้เรียนรู้อะไรหลายๆอย่างไม่ว่าจะเป็นการอยู่คนเดียวพึ่งพาตนเองหรือว่าจะเป็นการช่วยเหลือสังคมช่วยเหลือคนอื่นค่ะในตอนนั้นอากาศดีมากๆเลยค่ะแล้วก็บรรยากาศในวัดเงียบสงบมากๆค่ะท ธรรมชาติที่นั่นก็สวยมากๆเลยค่ะแล้วก็ที่ไม่พูดถึงไม่ได้ก็คือพระอาจารย์แล้วก็ทุกๆคนในวัดทุกคนใจดีมากๆเลยค่ะแล้วก็สุดท้ายก็อยากจะขอบคุณทุกๆคนที่สร้างความทรงจำดีๆให้กับลิสาแล้วก็ทำให้ลิสาได้เรียนรู้อะไรหลายๆอย่างจากทริปครั้งนี้ค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ
กราบนมัสการพระอาจารย์ฉันตะโกแล้วก็สวัสดีทุกคนที่รับชมวิดีโอนี้ด้วยนะครับผมชื่อว่าเด็กชายอันนะครับตอนนี้อยู่ม.2 เรียนปัญญาประทีปนะครับซึ่งตอนที่ผมไปค้างวัดวิมุตตินั้นผมอยู่ป.5 โรงเรียนทศ.นะครับครั้งแรกที่ผมไปผมก็รู้สึกว่าเป็นวัดที่น่าจะสบายแล้วก็สบายกว่านอนสบายกว่าแล้วก็มีความร่มรื่นกว่าวัดที่กรุงเทพหรือว่าวัดในประเทศไทยมากๆเลยนะครับบรรยากาศที่นั่นดีมากแล้วก็มีลมหนาวมีหมอกนิดหน่อยพอพูดถึงตอนเช้าก็สบายแล้วก็เย็นเลยครับแล้วก็ผมก็ไป2 วันแล้วผมก็ป่วยเลยครับผมป่วยด้วยการแพ้อากาศนะครับแล้วก็ต้องขอบคุณทุกคนที่คอยมาดูแลผมขอบคุณทุกคนขอบคุณแม่แอนขอบคุณผู้สมัครทุกคนที่มาดูแลผมแล้วก็ขอบคุณท่านเฉลิมโกด้วยนะครับที่เมตตามาดูแลผมมาสวดมนต์เพื่ออวยพรให้ผมหายด้วยนะครับแล้วตอนนี้ผมก็ยังคิดถึงวัดวิมุตติทุกครั้งที่ผมคิดได้เลยครับหวังว่าผมก็จะได้ไปวัดวิมุตตินะครับ
กราบนมัสการท่านอาจารย์ฉันทโกนะคะแม่แอนนะคะที่เป็นผู้ปกครองที่ไปครั้งที่แล้วที่ไปกับเด็กๆตอนนี้เด็กๆโตกันหมดแล้วค่ะถ้าดูจากวิดีโอก็ตอนนั้นที่ไปเนี่ยมีความประทับใจจริงๆในความเมตตาของท่านอาจารย์หลายต่อหลายเรื่องมากๆรวมทั้งพี่ๆที่อยู่ในวัดไม่ว่าจะพี่อิ้วพี่วิคุณบรูซคุณเก๋หรือท่านอื่นๆที่ให้ความเมตตากับคณะเรามาตลอดนะคะก็ถ้ามีโอกาสอันอยากจะกลับไปมากๆเพราะมองว่าที่วัดเป็นที่ที่สัปปายะต่อการปฏิบัติธรรมจริงๆก็ยังไงก็ขอร่วมงานกฐินผ่านมาไกลๆแบบนี้นะเจ้าค่ะแล้วหวังว่าวันหนึ่งจะมีโอกาสเมื่อหมดโควิดได้เดินทางกลับไปที่นิวซีแลนด์ได้ไปสวัสดีพี่ๆทุกคนแล้วก็ได้ไปกราบนมัสการท่านอาจารย์ด้วยตัวเองและจะได้พาครอบครัวไปอีกครั้งหนึ่งด้วยค่ะกราบนมัสการเจ้าค่ะ
กราบนมัสการพระอาจารย์ฉันทโกสวัสดีพี่ๆคนไทยใจดีทุกคนนะครับแล้วก็เพื่อนๆชาติต่างๆนะครับที่เราได้มีโอกาสได้รู้จักกันนะครับครูโก้โรงเรียนทศ.นะครับจำได้ไหมครับคิดถึงทุกคนนะครับแล้วก็คิดถึงความเมตตาของพระอาจารย์ที่มีต่อคณะของเราแล้วก็คิดถึงอาหารไทยแสนอร่อยนะครับที่พี่ๆทำให้เรารับประทานนะครับแล้วก็คิดถึงทุกความช่วยเหลือนะครับของพี่ๆทุกคนเลยนะครับแล้วก็ประทับใจนะครับทุกๆประสบการณ์นะครับที่นิวซีแลนด์นะครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นความสวยงามของธรรมชาตินะครับการได้ผจญภัยในกิจกรรมต่างๆนะครับแล้วก็ประทับใจในมิตรไมตรีนะครับทั้งของคนไทยแล้วก็ชาวต่างชาติที่ได้เจอนะครับถ้ามีโอกาสก็จะกลับไปเยี่ยมพระอาจารย์นะครับแล้วก็กลับไปเยี่ยมพี่ๆเพื่อนๆทุกคนนะครับ miss you ขอบคุณครับ
กราบนมัสการพระอาจารย์ครับหวังว่าพระอาจารย์จะมีสุขภาพร่างกายที่แข็งแรงนะครับแล้วก็อยากให้พระอาจารย์ดูแลตัวเองในช่วงโควิดนี้ด้วยนะครับเมื่อ 2-3 ปีที่ผ่านมาผมได้มีโอกาสไปเข้าค่ายปฏิบัติธรรมที่วัดป่าวิมุตติครับรู้สึกมีความสุขแล้วก็สนุกมากๆครับรวมถึงชอบบรรยากาศที่นั่นมากเพราะว่ามีความเงียบสงบแล้วก็อากาศเย็นมากครับผมไปที่นี่ผมได้เรียนรู้เรื่องของการช่วยเหลือส่วนรวมครับแล้วก็การใช้ชีวิตอยู่ร่วมกับผู้อื่นครับแล้วก็สุดท้ายนี้ finally I'm so grateful for having me there it was a wonderful experience and I will always remember it thank you
Okay, very good. That last set of videos was from a group from a Buddhist school in Bangkok, an excellent and inspiring school that teaches not just the students, but also teaches the teachers to live a life that is beautiful and in harmony with the Dhamma. And a couple of years ago, group from that school came here and stayed at Vimutti, and we look forward to them returning when they can. And we will carry on with giving acknowledgement to many of the people who have offered robes, besides the names that you saw listed while we were chanting the Paritta chants. There have been many people who have offered robes and donations just within the last 12 hours. So we're trying to keep up with all of the last minute donations and sponsors. And Kunge will get everybody caught up on that. Please go ahead, Kay.
นมัสการค่ะท่านอาจารย์กราบขอบพระคุณค่ะ Now is time for summary of our donation. First of all, thank you to everyone to participate and support that was provided to Vimutti Monastery. And the big thanks to the great organizing team from many countries. This is show us that best network and societies of the Buddhism. Like Ajahn told us before, we also have the name list of the last amount of people that put the donation for us. I gonna start with Temi Pereira, Thai Dhamma Friends, Namtip Garrett, Temi Ashela and Sashini, in memory of husband and father, Aji Pereira. Song Li, Kong Seng and Elisa Tan and Chai. Sang Cheng, in memory of Mother Chong Ping Lin from Mimi Long. To Pi Ku Win and Lu A Liang. NDR, Nibbana Dhamma Rakkha. Pu Pisin Tawin. Pu Tong Lim, Pu Yang Bun, Pu Yua Wang, and their family offer 3 sets of robes in memory of their ancestor. BUBS, Bandar Utama Buddhist Society. Sopa Han Kiat Ka, Sili Lak Wivington. ขอโทษค่ะ in memory of Janaka Parkwet and his dad from Lakmali Avatar. In memory of Le Huang Oi from Yi Si Tang. Kun Sini Yot ยอดสูงเนิน และบุญยัง and family ค่ะ that the last minute donation we set as the top up donation for today. Now is the time to announce that today we raise funding for Vimutti. The total is $28,767.71 ค่ะสาธุค่ะค่ะต่อจากนี้นะคะก็จะเป็นช่วงที่สำคัญอีกช่วงหนึ่งนะคะเดี๋ยวเรามาดูยอดทำบุญกันนะคะแต่ก่อนอื่นนะคะขอบพระคุณกัลยาณมิตรทุกท่านที่เข้ามาร่วมงานและร่วมบุญในครั้งนี้นะคะทำให้งานของเราประสบความสำเร็จเป็นอย่างมากเลยค่ะที่ลืมไม่ได้เลยก็คือเจ้าหน้าที่ทุกๆท่านที่มาจากหลายๆประเทศเลยนะคะช่วยทำให้งานนี้ดำเนินไปอย่างราบรื่นและสวยงามมากๆเลยค่ะเราก็ได้รับฟังชื่อจากผู้ที่ต่อยอดมาแล้วนะคะคราวนี้เก๋ขอสรุปยอดทำบุญของเราในวันนี้นะคะก็คือ 28,767 เหรียญ71 เซนต์นี่เป็นยอดของนิวซีแลนด์ดอลลาร์นะคะค่ะสาธุกับทุกคนเลยค่ะแล้วก็ต่อจากนี้ขอกราบนมัสการท่านพระอาจารย์ฉันทโกนะคะ Please นมัสการท่านฉันทโก to introduce Vimutti projects นมัสการค่ะ
Thank you, Kunke, and big thanks to you for doing so much organization with regard to preparation for today, and all of the donations, which very, very, very grateful for, and it's inspiring to see so many people supporting the Dhamma. All of the donations that were offered today will be going towards the Vimutti Gate project, the entrance to the monastery. So far, of all these years, has been a very simple entrance, as if it was still the old farm that it used to be. But once we're able to get our plan and builders together, then the idea is that we'll use these funds for creating a proper and inspiring entrance to the monastery. So thank you all for your support. Okay, the folks in Singapore have very graciously offered us sent flowers to us. Thank you. A beautiful gift of flowers. So we accept that with much gratitude. Do you want to go ahead and say a few words in closing?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for participating. This is actually very encouraging, and all of us are very grateful for all the blessings and chantings, from Ajahns and the Sanghas. May these blessings be shared with your family members and relatives. And we need you to continue to support. The support is very important. As you can hear from all the sharings, everyone is very touched. I'm very touched. My tears is coming out. And please continue. All right. Please come to Vimutti, test it for yourself, practice there, and a taste of the monastic life. And we have no regrets. Thank you, Ajahn and all.
Thank you very much, Leo. And just lots of gratitude to Sangha friends and from all of us here at Vimutti. Just want to send lots of metta and encouragement to practice in your daily life. We are still fortunate, no matter how bad the world seems at times. Still, we're very fortunate. We have the teachings of the Buddha. We have everything we need to practice. We have here this beautiful place and peaceful circumstances. So if it's not peaceful where you are, then as soon as the country opens up, then you're very welcome to come to New Zealand. So encourage everyone to continue their practice, and may you experience much happiness as a result of your good karma.
สาธุสาธุสาธุค่ะท่านอาจารย์ทั้งสาม
Thank you, Ajahn. Would everybody like to take a group photo now?
Let's pay respect to all Ajahn and then we take the group photo.
Okay, thank you.
Now we coming to the end of our section for the day. Please everyone together pay respect to Sangha. กราบพระร่วมกันค่ะกราบกราบกราบสาธุ Yes. Okay. After this, yeah,ค่ะ.
Can I take group photo now?
Yes.
Sure, yeah, we can take a group photo. Anyone who would like to participate in the group photo?
Okay, for those.
Turn your video on and smile.
All right, for those who like to be part of the photo, we will be putting them on our social media. So if you're not comfortable in having your photo on it, you may switch off your video. If not, please look at the camera. The camera, not on your screen. Look at the camera on your computer or any of your devices, and a big smile, please. We'll start by taking a photo of Kanajana and the Sangha. A big smile, please, from the Sangha members. Look at the video camera. Okay, all right. Now we're going to take, excuse me, a photo of everybody. Please look at your camera and have a big, big smile. You may put your palms together. 1, 2, 3. One more time, and we have the second screen. A big smile from everybody. So look at the camera and smile. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we have one more photo, please. So please come nearer to your camera and smile. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for in this.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the Dhamma friends in Singapore and Malaysia and New Zealand and everywhere else around the world. Big thanks and much gratitude from all of us here at Vimutti Monastery.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, and wishing all of you good health, happiness, and continued success in practice. And may the Dhamma increasingly infuse your life. And sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have a great, lovely Sunday ahead. Thank you.